Bread, hardly any other food has such a firm place in our diet and in our culture. Give us this day our daily bread. That sounds like care, like a reliable staple food. But what if this seemingly harmless food has exactly the opposite effect on many people? What if it makes you tired, causes stomach aches, triggers inflammation, and in the worst case, makes you sick? Be sure to stay tuned until the end. Because at the end, I'll tell you which types of bread you can eat without worry and a very simple trick to make any bread healthier. And I'll also share my favorite gluten-free bread recipe with you. Every German eats an average of over 50 kilos of bread per year, often with every meal. But is it really as healthy as we think? Science says not necessarily. Let's start right from the beginning. It's only been about 12,000 years since we started systematically cultivating grains. In terms of evolution, that's almost nothing. Our digestive system has hardly had any time to really adapt to it. Just a few generations ago, bread was a different food than it is today. That's something we should always keep in mind. The grain was ground whole, including the germ and bran, and the bread made from it was filling. But it was also rich in nutrients. The industrial refining of grains, that actually only began in 1873 at the World's Fair in Paris, when a large landowner presented a steam-powered wheat mill for the first time. It could actually separate the bran, germ, and endosperm from the flour, and with that, this machine ushered in the era of white refined flour. What used to be a rare privilege of the rich, white bread, became a symbol of prosperity, refined living, and technological progress. In Europe, but also in the United States of America, our modern white flour is light, fine, lasts a long time, but has almost no nutrients. And at the same time, the types of grains also changed. Wheat in particular was bred over decades. It was supposed to grow better, yield higher harvests, be richer in protein, and be easier to process. And what is the result? Higher gluten content, poorer digestibility. And this is exactly where the problem lies. Gluten, the so-called binder. That's what makes the dough so airy and elastic. But in many bodies, it also causes mild inflammation. Around 0.1 to 0.5% of people suffer from actual celiac disease. That's an autoimmune disorder. They can't tolerate even a tiny bit of this gluten. But that's still quite a lot of people. But many, many more people apparently don't tolerate gluten properly, even without knowing it. But I'm sure it's not just about the gluten. Modern wheat also contains other substances, so-called ATIs, which stands for amylase trypsin inhibitors. These are proteins that are known to promote inflammation in the small intestine. And studies have also shown that ATIs can activate the immune system, trigger inflammatory processes, even in people without celiac disease. So if you think you might have an intolerance to bread, it could be due to gluten, but also to ATIs, or maybe just to ATIs. I don't know, but someday we'll know more about it. Many people report that they feel tired after eating bread, bloated and just sluggish and heavy, and yet they keep reaching for rolls, sandwiches, and toast, simply because it's so quick and also makes you feel full for a short time, but feeling full doesn't automatically mean you're well nourished. White flour mainly provides quickly available carbohydrates. That also means that your blood sugar spikes and then drops again just as quickly. And what does that do? It causes cravings, and in the long run, it exhausts our metabolism. What many people don't know is that bread can even have a certain addictive quality. Certain components in wheat gluten, such as gliadin, that's what this component is called, are converted in the body into substances that act similarly to opiates. They influence our reward system. That explains why some people are practically addicted to bread. That high blood sugar levels mean that when you have high blood sugar, and it means when you are in the blood sugar levels, then it's always like that. And that's how it is. The blood sugar level rises faster and faster. And that means when you have high blood sugar levels, then that means when you have high blood sugar levels, and that means when you are at a high blood sugar level, then it always happens. When you are at a high blood sugar level, it happens faster and makes the bread much more digestible. Additionally, the lactic acid bacteria even create probiotic properties that benefit your gut flora. And the grain itself can also make a big difference. Ancient varieties like emmer, einkorn, spelt, or waldstauden rye naturally contain less gluten, almost no ATIs, and significantly more nutrients. Especially when combined with sourdough, it creates a real power bread, filling, rich in nutrients, and easy to digest. And then there's the matter of whole grain. Studies clearly show that whole grain bread protects against heart attacks, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. Why? Because the fiber from whole grains not only makes you feel full, but also stabilizes blood sugar, supports digestion, and strengthens the microbiome. Compared to white bread, whole grain bread is actually a real superfood. Still, every person is unique. And if you often feel tired after eating, have digestive problems, or just don't feel well, then just try a self-test. Leave out regular bread for 2 to 3 weeks. Instead, choose fermented sourdough bread made from ancient grains, or try completely different alternatives. For example, bread made from chickpeas, buckwheat, wheat, or rice flatbreads, or even vegetable bread. Just ask your baker. So, of course, don't go to those supermarkets or chains now, but maybe you still have a baker around the corner where you live who still bakes the traditional way, just like he learned back in the day. And he uses his own mixes, not ready-made dough mixes, and he still makes his own sourdough and sourdough bread. And what kind of grain does he use? You can ask all of that at a bakery. And that's why you'll also find my favorite bread recipe under my video, which is, of course, gluten-free. Because one thing is clear, it's not the bread itself that makes you sick, it's the way it's produced industrially nowadays. Fast, cheap, easy, but not healthy. And if you choose real bread instead, and bread that has been slowly matured with high quality ingredients, and preferably whole grains that have been used, then bread can be a wonderful part of your diet. And remember, the whiter the bread, the sooner the death. It's not just me saying that, but many others as well. And numerous studies. So you don't have to give up bread completely, but you can and should be selective. Ask about the ingredients, pay attention to how the dough is made, try out new types, and listen to your body. You'll notice that your well-being, your energy, and even your digestion will respond. Bread can make you sick, but it can also nourish you really well. You decide which one you eat.